So if I were to show you a Persian rug and tell you where it's made, so for example, this rug is made in Qashqai, I show you the design of the rug from the front, I show you the back of the rug, will you be able to tell me what type of knot is used to make this type of Persian rug? Is it a symmetrical knot or asymmetrical knot? What if I showed you another Persian rug? For example, this Bijar rug. This is the design of the front. You can take a look at the back. And again, it's a Bijar Persian rug. Let's look at the third type of Persian rug. Here's the Heriz Persian rug. Here's the design. Notice it's geometrical, really precise. And then here's the back of the rug. And this rug is made in Heriz. Would you be able to tell me what type of knot? Is it a symmetrical knot or is it an asymmetrical knot? Now hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to tell what type of knot is used in each of these types of Persian rugs. Now let's get started. Hi, I'm Sean with Catalina Rug. I'm a third generation Persian rug expert, and our family business Catalina Rug has been selling Persian rugs online for over 25 years. We've actually bought and sold over 30,000 Persian and Oriental rugs over the years, and I'm here to share our expertise with you so that way you can make a better decision next time you make a purchase and just have a deeper appreciation for these beautiful works of art. Now, let's get into talking about the different types of knots used in Persian rugs, specifically asymmetric knot and symmetric knots. Now let's go over what we're going to cover in this video. So first we'll discuss the importance of knots and why they matter. Then we'll go over the most popular types of knots, which is symmetrical and asymmetrical. And while we're discussing these, we're going to go over how these knots are created. So a little visual example of what that looks like. We'll talk about the characteristics and benefits of each type of knot. Then we're going to go over the regions where you can expect these knots to be used. And I'm talking about the regions around the world. And then we'll get specifically into examples of Persian rugs and which rugs are using the different types of knots. So you know if you're looking at, for example, a Tabriz rug versus a Khazai rug, where you can expect or how you can expect the knots to be made. So let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about the importance of knots. Why do we care about this topic? Now, if you think about knots in a rug, you can think about it as like the building blocks of the rug. This is the foundation of the rug. And when you want to break it down, it really comes down to two components when it comes to the knots. One is knot density, and often hear the word KPSI and what's knot count per square inch, which we'll discuss in a future video. And then you have the knot type, which we're discussing here. And what happens is the knot type actually affects the durability of the rug. It'll affect the details and the intricacies that are in the patterns. It'll also affect the flexibility of the pattern, like how flexible is the designer going to be when it comes to creating the rug and designing it, and is that something that they could implement using these type of knots that they're going to use. And then also it affects the texture of the pile, and it really affects how the back of the rug looks, which we'll talk more about in detail. And then it also can have impact on the price. So pretty important piece of how a rug is made. Is very good information to have because it has a lot of different effects on the rug. All right, so now let's get into the different types of knots, starting with the symmetrical knot, also known as the Turkish knot. And first I'm going to show you how the knot is created, what the structure looks like. So what happens is that the rug weaver wraps the yarn that they're using to make the rug, around two adjacent warp threads, and then pulls both ends of the yarn outwards, forming a symmetrical loop. Now, the loop is then tightened to secure the knot in place, and of course this is done thousands of times in order to create the rug. And usually when it comes to these types of knots, these symmetrical knots, although everything is made by hand, the rug weavers usually use a hook tool to be able to grab the yarn and pull it through the threads. Now, if you're wondering how you can tell if a rug is made with symmetrical knots, one way to tell is by looking at the back of the rug. Of course, when it comes to many things about rugs, one of the best telling signs is always looking at the back. So if you look at the back of the rug, whenever there's symmetrical knots, the knots create a more even and a more balanced look. And the knots basically appear as if they're small squares or rectangles. So that's one way you can tell if a rug is made with symmetrical knots. So of course, symmetrical knots have certain benefits and characteristics. So let's talk about those real quick. So basically, symmetrical knots allow for really good durability. The symmetrical structure provides a lot of resistance to wear, and it makes these type of rugs excellent for a high traffic area. Also, there's the precision of design, which basically the symmetrical knots allow for the rug weavers to weave in very precise designs, which is perfect for geometrical and bold patterns. Another benefit of having symmetrical knots is that it gives the rug a very balanced look. Because of the inherent structure of the knots, you have a very even and uniform appearance of the design of the rug. And also, of course, because of the durability, you can expect that rugs that are made with symmetrical knots have really good longevity. They will last for many generations. Now let's discuss the regions where symmetrical or Turkish knots were used. So you can typically find the symmetrical knot in rugs that were made in Turkey and in the Caucasus and also in northwest Iran. And this type of knot is really one of the oldest types of knots that's seen. So a lot of older and antique rugs are made with symmetrical knots. And what's really interesting is that when it comes to Persian rugs, you can find the Turkish knot in the areas where the Turks had invaded and basically have brought their culture, including their rug weaving skills, into the area. So as we talk about the different types of Persian rugs next, you'll notice that the ones that use the Turkish knot are basically from the regions that the Turks have invaded. So now let's go over the different types of Persian rugs that are made with symmetrical knots or Turkish knots. So the first one is, of course, the very popular Tabriz rug. Tabriz is located in northwestern Iran. This is a region that was invaded by the Turks. And the characteristics of Tabriz rug is that they're known for high quality craftsmanship, very detailed patterns, and they include medallion design, pictorial scenes, and intricate floral motifs. Tabriz rugs often have very high knot density and definitely one of the most popular, if not the most popular type of Persian rugs. Then we have Bijar rugs. Bijar is also located in the northwest of Iran, another area that was invaded by the Turks, and they're characteristically known as the iron rugs of Iran due to their exceptional durability and their dense weave. Bijar rugs feature an intricate pattern, including medallions and floral and geometrical designs, and of course they are very tough rugs. And one of the reasons is that they are made with a symmetrical knot. So another type of rug that's made with a symmetrical knot is the Bakhtiyari rugs that are coming from the more tribal designs, not necessarily the Bakhtiyari rugs from the workshops. So Bakhtiyari region is in central Iran, and these beautiful rugs are characterized as having a garden design, and they include a lot of different patterns with floral motifs inside of these square panels inside the rug. And these rugs are known to have thicker piles and very rich earth toned colors, and definitely one of my favorite types of rugs if you have been watching my videos. Up next we have the Heriz rugs, of course very famous and popular type of Persian rugs, known for their geometrical designs and very large medallion. Also they're more like rustic and red colors. And Heriz is a region in Iran that's also in the northwest, another region that was invaded by the Turks. And then finally, another example is Hamadan rugs, and mostly the Hamadan rugs that were made in villages and not necessarily the ones made in workshops in cities. These type of Hamadan rugs have the symmetrical or Turkish knot, and the characteristics of the typical Hamadan rug is that they're very dense, they have very durable piles, and they feature a variety of patterns that have many types of designs, including medallion, geometrical shapes, and floral designs. And of course, there are many other types of Persian rugs that are made with the Turkish knot, but we're not going to have enough time to cover all of them in this video. But a couple more examples include the Senet Persian rugs and also the Turkmen Persian rugs. Those both have the Turkish knot. All right, so now let's go over the asymmetrical knot, also known as the Farsi knot or the Persian knot or sometimes the Sena knot. There's many different types of names that this knot goes by, but what you should know is that this knot is asymmetrical. So first, let's go over what it looks like, what the structure of the knot is. Basically, the rug weaver will wrap the yarn that they're using to weave the rug around one warp thread in this case, and then they pass the yarn under the adjacent warp thread, and then they pull both ends of the yarn outwards, which forms the asymmetrical loop. Then they of course tighten the knot to secure it in place, and they do this thousands and thousands of times. Now when it comes to the Persian knot or the Farsi knot, these knots are usually just done by fingers. Typically rug weavers won't use hooks to create these type of knots. Now just like with the symmetrical knot, if you want to be able to tell what rug is made with an asymmetrical knot, you can look at the back of the rug. And typically what happens is when a rug is made with asymmetrical knot, the back appears less uniform. There is less of a rectangular or square patterns in the back, and there's a more diagonal or staggered look in the back of the rug. So it looks a little bit more messy, not as organized as the symmetrical knot. And so that's one of the ways that you can tell. So of course the Persian knot comes with its own benefits and characteristics that are a bit different from the Turkish knot. And one of those is that the Persian knot provides for more detail and finesse, which allows for a more higher knot density and more details in a pattern. Also, the Persian knot, it feels more softer to the touch and has a more luxurious feel when you feel the pile of the rug. The Persian knot provides for a more complex design, which allows the rug weavers to create more curvilinear patterns. And when we start talking about the different types of Persian rugs that use this type of knots, it'll make a lot of sense. And then of course the Persian knot is a bit more flexible. It allows for different types of expressions for the designers, and you could weave anything from more traditional patterns to more modern patterns and more intricate patterns. It basically allows for a lot of variety of patterns when creating the rug. So of course you won't be surprised to know that these type of knots are used mostly in Persian rugs, and specifically in Persian rugs that come from regions that are not in the northwest where the Turks have invaded. So basically it's used in central Iran, in eastern Iran, and southern Iran, and not in the northwest of Iran. And usually Persian knots or the asymmetrical knot is not seen in any rug outside of Iran. So now let's go over some examples of Persian rugs that are made with the Persian knot. And a lot of these won't surprise you. So the first example is, of course, Saruk rugs. These are really beautiful rugs that come from central Iran in the Iraq region, and they're renowned for their lush floral motifs and their high knot density. Saruk rugs often have a very rich and luxurious feel, and they come with a variety of color palettes, typically including deep reds and blue backgrounds. Definitely one of my favorite type of Persian rugs. Next, we have the Isfahan rugs. So Isfahan is a pretty major city, also in central Iran, and these rugs are renowned for their exquisite designs and high knot density, and they're known for their elaborate patterns that include very intricate floral motifs, a medallion, and traditional Persian themes. And a lot of Isfahan rugs have silk foundation or definitely silk pile, and this allows them to have an even higher knot density. So next we have the Qashqai rugs, which are very notorious types of Persian rugs. They're the quintessential rug you think of when you think of a Persian rug. And the city of Qashqai is located in central Iran, and these types of rugs are famous for their very luxurious and finely detailed patterns, and they often feature medallion and floral motifs and very rich deep colors, and they have high knot density and very lush pile. So next we have Nain rugs. Now Nain is a town that's near Isfahan, which is also located in central Iran, and these beautiful rugs are known for their fine quality and their details in their designs. They often combine beige, ivory, and blue tones together, and a lot of times they'll come with at least silk highlights. And 9 rugs are typically known to feature floral patterns and to have pretty high knot density. Then we have the Kerman Persian rugs, and the city of Kerman is located in southeastern Iran. And some of the characteristics that Kerman rugs are known for is their elaborate and detailed designs, which include a central medallion and floral patterns. And these rugs are known to have really soft and high quality wool and high knots, and definitely one of the most beautiful types of Persian rugs in my opinion. So besides those examples, I'm just going to list a few other types of Persian rugs that have the Persian knot. We're not going to go into them in more detail, but these include Arak rugs, Qom rugs, Mashhad, Kashmir, and then Bakhtiyari rugs that are made in workshops that is near Isfahan. So if you paid attention to the locations that we just went over when it comes to rugs that are made with the Persian knot, you'll notice that none of these locations are in the northwestern region where the Turks have invaded. All of these are located in the center or eastern or southern parts of Iran. So we're going to actually go over a third type of knot called the Jofti Knot. And this is the type of knot that you want to stay away from unless you're on a very low budget. And that's because this is a very low quality type of knot, and the rugs that are created using these type of knots are basically going to not last as long, and they're going to have a lot of issues compared to rugs that are made with symmetrical or asymmetrical type of knots. So when it comes to the structure of the Jofti knot, basically the yarn is looped around 4 warp threads instead of the 2 that you see with symmetrical or asymmetrical knots, and they make the knot process much faster, which also results in a much looser weave. So now let's go over how you can tell if a rug is made with a Jofti knot. So one way you can't tell, it's very difficult to tell, is by looking at the back of the rug. Usually it won't be very obvious if it's made with Jofti knot. But what you can do is, first of all, you could weigh the rug, feel how heavy it feels compared to a rug that's the same size. And usually rugs with Jofti knot, they weigh about half as much as a rug that's made with the regular symmetrical or asymmetrical knot. And the reason for that is because they're skipping and they're doing basically every 4 warps into one knot, it'll make the rug way less dense. Another way you can tell is by just looking at the pattern. The pattern is just going to look way more fuzzy and less clear, less detailed, and the typical patterns that are used to create these rugs are more bland and they have a lot more space inside of them, so you're not going to see very intricate floral design or curvilinear or even geometrical. Or if they do try to implement that kind of more intricate design, it's just going to look really pixelated and fuzzy. So that's how you can tell if a rug is made with the Jofti knot. So now when it comes to the types of Persian rugs that are made with Jofti knots, the only one that I could really think of is the Kerman rugs. And that's not all Kerman rugs, that's about half of them that are made with the Jofti knot that are not from the really good workshops. And basically these type of Kerman rugs I would generally avoid. We don't even carry them in our inventory at Catalina Rug because they're poor quality. But if you look at any type of Persian rug, this is the only one that could potentially have the Jofti knot. And again, you can look at the pattern and kind of tell if it's a Jofti knot. Usually the prices are much lower and the quality is much lower. So this concludes our video. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and now you're able to walk away with a deeper knowledge of the different types of knots, and hopefully you can detect if a Persian rug has a symmetrical knot or asymmetrical knot and what is the difference, and you'll be able to avoid rugs that have the Jofti knot unless you're on a budget, of course. And if you want to check out Persian rugs and Oriental rugs, you can check out our website, CatalinaRug.com. We have thousands in our collection. And if you like this video, then give us a thumbs up and subscribe and leave your questions down below. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.